You know the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words? Well, I'm not sure whether it's ever been more relevant than in this case. On February 4th, 2015, a tragic incident happened where one teenage male shot and killed another. It is alleged that they were friends for over 10 years. This case made national headlines, not for how the victim died, but because of what the assailant did afterwards, taking a smiling selfie in front of his friend who was slumped and bleeding after he had been shot. What was going through his mind when he'd done this? And why is he smiling? Before we start, if you find this video fascinating, then please drop it a like and leave me a comment below letting me know what you thought about the case. It helps the channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more. Thank you. The victim was called Ryan Mangan, who was 16 years of age at the time of the incident. Family and friends say Ryan was well liked, a naturally gifted teen who loved video games, sports and animals. In the summer before his death, he had a job at McDonald's and volunteered at the Red Cross. Before his death in 2015, Ryan had transferred to a local alternative school following a fight for which his mother says he was not responsible. There, Ryan and another teenager named Maxwell Morton grew closer as friends. The two bonded, in part, over the first-person shooter games they both enjoyed. Morton later testified that he and Ryan Mangan had no issues between them, and he was having fun visiting Mangan's home that day in February 2015. Morton said the two were pretending to be rappers and imitating what they do in music videos when he saw a lump in a pillowcase and Mangan pulled out a handgun. Morton testified that Mangan started dancing around with the weapon and then gave it to Morton, who said in court that he thought he cleared the gun of rounds. The teens were playing with the gun when he pointed it at Mangan. Morton said, at first, he pointed the gun to replicate a selfie Mangan had taken with the weapon, then to scare him by pulling the trigger of what he thought was an unloaded gun. Mangan was hit by one round under his left eye and slumped over in the chair. Now this is where most people would call the emergency services or look for help, but Morton said, I panicked. I had never seen anything like that before. I never seen someone die like that. At first I ran out, then ran back in there and saw him lying there. I wanted to tell somebody, but at the time I felt empty and had no regards for life. I had no reason to be. I was going to kill myself. Morton said he pulled out his mobile phone to document what had occurred and took a picture with himself smiling at the camera as Mangan's body lay in the background. Mangan said, I need to tell somebody. Something in my head told me to take a picture of what happened. I needed to tell somebody. I wanted to tell somebody outside of Jeanette, to have time to tell people how it feels. I didn't want to take my life and have people waste time and money constantly wondering who did it. Morton bragged about the killing to another teen as they played an online video game that evening. Morton said he got his first body. The teen said he thought it was a prank until Morton texted a link of the news item about the death and sent the selfie via Snapchat. The message was followed with a text that said, I told you. The teenager said he immediately took a screenshot of the selfie and told his mother, who called police in Pennsylvania. She told the authorities, you probably won't believe this, but we have a Snapchat of the murder. That led police to Morton's house, where he told them a little about what happened and where the gun was. which was in his bedroom. Morton originally told the police that he and Mangan were playing with the weapon, and he wanted to take a picture looking down the barrel, and he shot Mangan. He had a little smirk on his face and said, "I don't really care either," said Westmoreland County Detective James Williams, who interviewed Morton in the presence of his parents after the search and before Morton was arrested. The conversation to which Williams testified was not recorded, and according to his police report, Morton originally said the shooting was an accident. Dr. Cyril Wetch, a forensic pathologist, testified that Mangan could have survived the shooting if he had received medical care. Instead, authorities said Morton posed for a selfie with his dying friend and then fled the house without seeking aid. Maxwell Morton told a Westmoreland County judge that he did not want to be remembered as a savage and conceded that the shooting of 16-year-old Ryan Mangan was messed up. He said, "Sometimes sorry isn't enough for people, but that's all I have to give." Prosecutors had charged Morton with first-degree homicide, contending he intended to shoot Mangan as the teens fooled around with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun Mangan kept in his bedroom. Assistant District Attorney Tom Grace argued that Morton should receive a maximum sentence of up to 40 years. Grace said Morton has 2 prior convictions for assault as a juvenile and another violent incident that occurred after he was jailed for Mangan's shooting. But Grace said it was the selfie the judge should focus on in determining the sentence. He continued, "When I saw this photograph with the victim lying dead and slumped on the chair, and the defendant smiling ear to ear, that speaks volumes about his character." Defense attorney Pat Thomasy argued at the trial that the shooting was an accident and that neither teen had malice towards one another. Thomasy told the judge that Mangan and his parents were partially at fault for the murder. It was Mangan's gun, one of several he had possession of, and his parents' failure to know about the weapons led to that shooting. "I know he's just doing his job, but I personally think it's incredibly harsh to blame the parents in any way for what happened." He continued, "In my heart of hearts, I don't think Max intended to take a life. They were playing a silly game. Max was not familiar with firearms, and he didn't know the gun was loaded when he pointed it at Ryan. Instead, they were 2 friends who were playing around. This was 2 ding-dongs playing a game. But what he did afterwards, I agree, was stupid, stupid, stupid." Thomasy went on to say, "There is a lot of blame to go around in this case. I would know if there were guns in my house, and these parents didn't know. If Maxwell didn't panic and didn't do the stupid things he did and called 911, he probably doesn't even get charged." Morton said in court, "I panicked. I wanted to tell somebody, but at the time I felt empty and had no regards for life. I had no reason to be. I wish I could go back in time, and I wish for none of this to happen, but sorry is what I have to give." Judge Megan Billick DeFazio, who sentenced Morton, said the photo and the fact that he didn't call for help clinched his fate. She said, "You look like a little boy to me, and now I am faced with sentencing you. The reality is, this case would be very different. It would be a totally different case, but for that photo, but for the fact that you didn't make the phone call. I don't think anyone will ever understand your thought process in taking that photo. I know I won't." While prosecutors brought the maximum possible charge, and Morton's attorney said he was seeking a lesser conviction of involuntary manslaughter, the jury ultimately returned a guilty verdict for 3rd-degree murder. Morton was sentenced to 15 to 30 years in prison. In announcing her ruling, The judge underlined the importance of Morton's actions after the shooting, failing to call for help and taking a photo with the body. She said, "I do have a concern about whether or not you value life and whether you respect life, and I hope you do." District Attorney John Peck said Morton's selfie was akin to photographs posted around hunting season of children after they shoot their first deer. He continued, "Maxwell Morton was given a second chance. His friend could have lived. Again, he had intent to kill. He didn't lift a single finger to help." Morton's mother, Honey Morton, said, "This is just tragic. These two lives were just destroyed." Ryan Mangan's father, George, said he was shocked by the jury's decision not to convict on first-degree murder. "It was like my son died all over again, a second time. I just feel that this isn't justice for him." But that just shows you the way today's society is and how screwed up this world is. Ryan's mother, Rebecca, said she too wanted a first-degree murder conviction, but she says she is satisfied with the outcome. "I am thankful the judge realised the audacity of the crime." Ryan's father continued, "I have no sympathy for the devil that took my son's life away from me. I hope he burns in hell for eternity." That's all we got time for in this episode. Until next time, stay sane.